Well, thanks for joining us today here at CVC Success Group. We're going to be talking today about lessons we have learned from ride-along training, lessons we've learned. Because in doing all the ride-along trainings that we've done across the country at this point, we have been able to pull significant data, what's working, what doesn't work, what makes it work, and those type of things. So hopefully this is going to share some information with you that you can put to work in your own business. And presenting this today is one of my team members here at CVC Success Group. His name's Donovan Blanks, and Donovan's job is that's what he does. When Donovan signed on with us, I said, man, it's going to be like the Navy. You're going to get to see the world. So for the last 18 months now, Donovan has went around the country from one end of the country to the other. Very seldom does he see home base. He's going from one town to another. And the problem is they're not states next to each other. And we also have the challenge of COVID and travel this year. So Donovan, what would you say to start out what we're going to be talking about today that we're going to share with the people that are giving us the honor of being here with us today?
Well, I mean, there's just some simple things that we've learned over the last year plus that we've been dealing with out there in the field as I've been observing these technicians. We've seen consistent failures throughout the industry from coast to coast and border to border that just aren't being done. And when we get people to work with us and actually, communicate and engage in the training, they're making big changes. They're making big movement forward, big progress in their revenues and in their productivity. So
hey, let's say hey to Jose. Jose, appreciate you joining us today. Hope this will be some value for you. So like Donovan said, we're going to share with you successes and we're going to share with you failures, but we're also going to share why the failures occur. Keep it in mind, we have accumulated a pile of data in the last year, and we're going to share this with you today. This is free. Hey, we're just doing this to hope it helps you today. Good afternoon, Jonathan Duke, my friend. Appreciate you joining us here. So Donovan, here's my first question for you today. Tell me the number one F, failure. What are we finding? What are we learning? What's the leading failure that people are suffering in the field that you're able to discover from ride-along training? Okay.
Yeah. The number one failure that I have seen across this country is not having a good hearth conversation upon arrival at the house, not going into asking the right questions and establishing the relationship and building the trust and earning the respect of our customer by having a great conversation. Because I believe that we can ask about 5 to 7 questions that are going to lead us down a path of enlightenment about understanding our customer, their wants, their needs, their frustrations, and understanding how they use their system. And if we find something that needs to be repaired, it's going to give us something to gear towards their style and their wants, needs, and desires for the repair system.
Okay, got you covered. What's the number 2 thing that rises to the top of your list?
I would actually classify my number 2 as part of the number 1, because as soon as we get done with that conversation where we're asking all those questions and we're learning about our customer and we're engaging with our customer, we should be setting our stage by telling our customer exactly what we're going to be doing during the service. And this is a big failure. We don't go in there and we don't tell them a few details about what we're going to be doing there, and they don't have any idea what to expect. So we're not setting the expectations, so they have no expectations. So it's really hard to live up to or exceed expectations when we're not taking it upon ourselves to set those expectations and tell them that we're going to set up drop cloths, we're going to bring in a vacuum, we're going to make some noise, but we're going to protect your home. We're going to sweep this chimney, and then we're going to do roughly a 50 to 60 point inspection on the system. We're going to run a camera through it, and you're more than welcome to join us during that process and see what we see. And at the end of it, we're going to go do a roof walk if possible. And we're going to put this report together for you so that we can explain it to you so you can understand everything that we found along the way and educate you a little bit. And just that sets the tone.
Okay, so great. So listen, if there's any questions during this presentation, put them into the chat there, the comment section. I'm having to monitor some various Facebook pages because they all don't come into the screen. Sometimes they stay on that particular Facebook page, and we are broadcasting on multiple Facebook profiles today, so you're aware of this. So anyway, so that's number 2. So Donovan, I'm making notes as you're going through this. We're going to come back and talk about this a little more and a little more in depth. What would you say number 3 is?
Number 3 is continuing education. So we have so many different avenues of gaining our continuing education through online platforms. And I know what it's like to be out in the field and running a truck and getting to work at 6 o'clock in the morning and not getting home till 7, 8 o'clock in the night. But I always found time to plug in and stay up on the industry. Learn about the industry, continue to increase my vocabulary, my language, and my ability to educate and communicate with customers, especially through the CVC Virtual Academy.
Okay. So what you're saying is this is one of the challenges, getting the technicians to buy into doing the ongoing training. And, you know, that's one of the things that we have promoted, copying the example of Zig Ziglar, who created Automobile University years ago, where people that were in their cars a lot were using the Zig CDs while they were traveling. And I know we've used that approach a lot with different students and different clients that you've had. Okay, so number 4, what's the number 4 thing, Donovan?
Number 4 is jumping into the sales presentation before the service is done. We have technicians all over the country wanting to sell from the minute they see something wrong with the fireplace. The minute they see a defect, they want to go grab the customer, or they want to start in on the process of, we got to repair this, we got to repair that. And we've never completed the service that we were there to perform. So we got a lot of gung-ho people that just want to go, and that's got to be drawn in, that's got to be reeled in, and we got to take our time, and we got to be able to complete our inspection, and we've got to be able to complete our report before we have that communication with the customer so that they completely understand.
Yeah, just like Anthony just posted there, listen on the car ride to work in between jobs. And
That's
you
it.
have worked with Anthony's guys, so that's something that you have been able to teach them from the ride along process. But yeah, you know, the other day I recorded a daily training tidbit, and I was going through this, and I even said, "Whoa, cowboy,
Yeah.
slow down. You're trying to ride that horse, and that horse is not ready to be ridden yet." Sometimes what you're saying is that you see people jumping into being a salesman, but they've never completed what the customer has asked for. They put the sale, let me slam this upside your head, you need to buy this, but we've never shared with them the service. We've never done what we were there for. Is that what you're telling me?
That's exactly right. And if we don't complete that report and that service, we can't do the key component to my process of forming an agreement with our customer. It's impossible.
So what you're telling me is that the customer would prefer getting a report before they get an estimate crammed down their throats. Am I right?
Well, if you do it, if you follow these steps the way I teach them, they ask us how to do it. They ask us how to repair it and what the best solution would be for them. So we don't, they ask us how to fix it. And that's really when you know you've got the good relationship, you've built the trust and the respect, and you have their attention, and they understand what you've told them.
Yeah, it's like the magic words that are an invitation to start into sales. Well, who can fix something like this? Or what do you think that could cost? And one of the easiest ones is, Miss Jones, I'm really glad you asked me that question. Instead of, here's your problem, and here's your quote. I've already got this quote prepared for you. So, hey, let's just settle on in, and let's get your checkbook out. And I'm ready to close on this right now. I got all kinds of finance, ba-bam, ba-bam, ba-bam. Let's high pressure you into making this sale. Am I right?
That is exactly right. I've witnessed it firsthand so many times.
Okay, so number 5, Donovan, what's number 5?
Follow up and follow through are the biggest missed opportunity in our industry. You
Follow up.
know,
So you're telling me you're finding people are not following up on their sales. Am I right?
first of all, a lot of our estimates are not getting done on site.
Okay.
We're not making the 24-hour phone call, and we're not returning the phone calls and making sure that we're there for the customer every step of the way. Because the research that I've done, and I think it's similar to the research that you've done, is somewhere close to half of all contracted work happens in a 48-hour window of the time of service, unless we don't give them an estimate. If we don't give them an estimate, we've interrupted their decision-making process. And if we interrupt their decision-making process, it can get shoved aside to the back burner, and it may take many phone calls and contacts with the customer for them to decide that they want to do it after that.
But Donovan, I don't want to follow up. I don't want to do a quote at the house. I don't want to do none of that. I just don't want to do it.
I know. Well, you don't have to. We just send somebody else out there. I'll come take your job. And we know, Jerry, we know that you can close roughly 15% on site, but you can close close to 50% total. So you've got to make up that other 30% somewhere. So it's got to be in those follow-ups.
Well, my goals that I work with clients, and you know what they are, is the goal I have set is that with proper presentation, you've got to create the quote on the site. You got to give it to them while it's fresh. Right now, it's 20% closure. But with follow-up, my goal becomes 45% closure. Okay. Now, here's the thing. It's not going to happen on the first follow-up. Data and research shows us that the fourth follow-up many times is the magic follow-up. And you've got to follow up. One of the biggest things that said is, well, how often do we follow up? Till they tell you to stop calling me. That be true, Donovan?
Hey, there's some truth to that, Jerry. You've got the 19-year follow-up. I've got the experience of the 3-year follow-up. And it took 3 visits to the house to get that customer to go ahead and buy from us. And it just took that many times to explain it until they understood it. And it can't be done in the first follow-up. But we also know that research shows that a customer needs to be touched by a company somewhere between 4 and 10 times to be comfortable buying from that company. And that company, those touches can come at that first phone call, the service, a happy call, and a 24-hour follow-up from the technician, and you're in the happy range right there within a 24-hour window of after service.
Got you covered. So let me ask you this, Donovan. We've sent you in the field to work with new guys, some of them completely green. Okay, I'm talking about with just a couple weeks experience. Okay, then we've also sent you out there to work with people with 30 years experience. Which one shows the most improvement? Which one is the one that wants to learn? Is it that green guy or is it that 30-year veteran?
It's interesting. Sometimes it is the guy that's been around for a long time that wants to learn, because he's been stuck in the same spot with the same production year after year after year after year, and he's trying to get over that hurdle. So I've had some really good experiences with the veteran technician. Obviously, I can tell you that green technician has a much better increase or in sales because he had 0 when I got there. To whatever he's doing today. But we've had great stories in the entire spectrum. It's just a matter of having that desire to want to get better. And you and I have talked about this several times. That technician didn't invite me out there to coach him. And that's one of the hurdles that we face.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Donovan. Let's tell people. Okay, I'm going to say that I contact and I send you a note, and somebody, to someone that says, Donovan, this company wants to engage you to do ride-along training. I've been a pretty good salesperson for your services at this point. So we've been through this a lot. Now, once tell me what the process is that Donovan uses prior to the ride-along, once you get on site, and then, when we say ride-along, That means you're going out on job sites, you're listening, but you're
Mhm.
also not doing the sale. I want to reinforce this really big, guys. Donovan's job is not to go there and make the sales, even though he has been responsible for a lot of really great sales. To be honest with you, that's paid his fee within the week of being there. So, Donovan, let's tell him what the ride along training process, what's it look like from the time you get that initial contact to contact Mr. Jones, the business owner, the manager, about your services. What happens?
Well, the first thing they do is set up a phone call with that owner manager, and we detail out what the expectations are of the service and what they expect or what they are trying to achieve through this ride along training, because it can be anywhere from more reviews, higher revenues, more profitable sales. I mean, it can be a number of different things that we go out there and work with the technicians on. But we want to establish exactly what it is the owner or manager is looking for. And then I send out questionnaires for the owner manager about the technicians. I send out questionnaires to the technicians for them to fill out. So it gives me a little bit of a look into who they are as technicians, as people, what they're trying to improve at, what they want to achieve. And then I send videos, because we have a couple of YouTube videos that we send out to anybody that engages with us on the ride along training, and we hope that they play those for the team, because it talks about what we're going to do. And I get there and we open up that that questionnaire, the technician questionnaire, and I go over it with the technician right there on site. We talk about it, we engage on it. Try to get them to open up about what it is that they're looking for from the training, how we can help them, not just here's my way, take it or leave it, but actually find out what it is that they want to get better at. And I observe every step of the way. I try to be glued to the hip of every one of these technicians through the service. I shadow them. I'm an assistant. I bring in the vacuum. I bring in the rods. I help them get set up. I do every little thing, just like I'm a member of the team, that I work at the company I'm working with, and I just observe and pay attention. And if there's something that I see instantly that we could work on, that we could improve before the next stop, then we talk about that during the travel to the next stop. If it's something that's going to take a little bit more effort, then it's something that we talk about in the debriefing at the end of the day, and it goes into their success plan. And we write up a success plan for each individual, so that they have something to guide them and study, and something for us to talk about in the follow-up phone calls that we're going to make, because I schedule follow-up phone calls with these guys for 90 days after I do a training. That's part of the package. That's part of the ride along training package. And and then I just keep working with them. Anything that they have questions or frustrations about, we tackle it. We find a solution for it, and we just keep moving forward. And we've seen some amazing increases over the last year for some of the technicians. 2020 ended up being a very, very good year.
Okay, so let's lay it down on the line here. What percentage of the people that you have done ride along training with will to then do the phone calls?
We're roughly hitting at about 35% of the technicians that I work with engage in the follow-ups afterwards. Okay. And those 30 to 35% are seeing really solid, really great increases in their productivity and their revenues.
Okay. So one of the things we're finding out is a lot of people are content where they are. Mm-hmm. And from that standpoint, it's a hard time to get them to participate in the coaching calls, because they don't really want to be coached. Do you ever encounter employees that really just don't really care to get better? Is that out there, Donovan?
I don't know if it's so much that they don't want to get better. It's just that they didn't ask for me to come out there and work with them. They didn't, it wasn't their idea for me to come do this training with them. And it takes some breaking down of walls to get there. And sometimes that's multiple follow-up phone calls. And Sometimes it doesn't happen until a second or third trip, but eventually we're usually able to knock those walls down. It just takes time with some people, and understandably so. Absolutely understandably so.
Well, this is what I understand. Like, I know one client, he's got a rather new employee, and he's got a couple more with a little more experience than this one guy. But the newer guy is coming on the strongest. I mean, his sales, his satisfaction rating, his reviews, all these things are getting above the others. And when we find out why, it's because he is simply following the process, and we don't have to get him to break old habits. And he's doing a phenomenal job for his company down there. Agree with that?
Yes, he is. That's one of the guys that I had day one. We went out the first day he was on a truck was the first day I was with him. And that's been an amazing story. And I hope we get to talk more about that at some point in time. But that guy's kicking it, and I mean, just kicking it down the street and chasing it down and kicking it again. And he just keep going. He just keep on going, Jerry.
Right. Well, see, but again, it takes someone that wants to excel. Okay. I mean, subjecting yourself to coaching is something it's not easy. I mean, you're a person who has had to subject himself to coaches. You have coaches, you've got several you have to deal with, and some of them can really drill down into you deep. Am I right?
That's exactly right. Now, but I want that. And I know a lot of people don't want that, but that's exactly right. I've got Cheryl and Jerry Eisenhower as coaches. I use Ken Wall as a coach for the live streaming. I've got Scott McCain as a coach. So I've got coaches. I'm not the only one out there trying to get, I'm not just out there shoving this down people's throats. I'm getting coached on how to coach and how to get better for other people to get better. So coaching takes coaching.
That's it. That's exactly right. And that's what a lot of people don't know. We all invest heavily in our companies and our company into coaching ourselves and relying on each other. We also are really honest with each other and say, hey, you got to work on this. You got to work on this. This isn't coming out just right, and just perfecting and polishing and making that finesse happen. So as you go into this, let's go back. Let's circle back to this failure to be able to listen. People can't listen to what the customer is saying. Many times, and I call it listening to reply, not to understand. And the customer's often telling you exactly what they want. They'll tell you what their hangups are. They'll tell you what their pains are. They'll tell you what their walls are. If you just learn to listen to understand, not listen to build a reply, but rather listen to understand. So how do you get them to do that, Donovan?
Sometimes it's just as simple as you got two ears, you got one mouth. If you're not in presentation mode, going through the report or doing, the explanation of service, we need to be listening to our customer. They're going to tell us everything we could possibly want to know about their wants, needs, desires, and frustrations if we'll just lend an ear and listen to what they have to say. And it's taken me 20 years of continued work to get better and better and better and better at listening. Some of it just takes time, and some of it just requires taking that deep breath and letting all that anxiety out and just paying attention.
So you're telling me, okay, so let's clarify this. So you weren't exactly a child prodigy, and you sucked at this yourself at one time. Am I right?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay.
I was not a good listener. I had a lot of problems with it when I first started working for my mother almost 25 years ago.
Yeah. So how do you conquer that?
I think I just learned. I heard enough people telling me that if I listened, I would figure it out. If I listened, I would get the answers. If I listened and paid attention, I was going to be shown how to earn people's business and how to be able to work for people instead of trying to sell them. And that's really where this whole process started, was figuring out a way to allow people to buy from me instead of me having to work so hard to sell to them.
Yeah. One of the things that's been amazing from this, Donovan, when you get in the truck with people, once you build that relationship with that technician, once you build that trust, one of the things we've been able to determine is what is their walls? What is stopping them from getting because they can't share this with the boss. They've got a problem. Do you often see that you're hearing things and when you tell the employer they're shocked, they have no idea that this was in the employee's mind?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we've heard some pretty interesting stories and some pretty interesting information out there. And sometimes we just have to tell that employee that they got to go back and talk to their employer. That it's a conversation they got to have with them. Otherwise, it's just never going to be good for anybody. It's not going to be good for the employer. It's not going to be good for them. Sometimes we bridge that gap for them. And we see some really amazing results. We've seen some people switch out of one role to another and perform at a high level. I mean, we've seen a lot of great things come out of that relationship that I've been able to build in the truck with some of these technicians.
Okay. So tell me about a coaching call after you've left there. You know, my understanding is watching what you do, you've got a calendar link that's sent out to these people so they can go in, they can select. Now, the majority of these are in the evening because in daytime you're out training and it's not fair to the client for you to be on the phone with someone else working with their issues. But usually you make training time available on evenings and also on weekends. Is that correct?
Correct. So if I'm on site with a client, I have 3 phone call time slots available at the end of every day: 6 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Eastern, and 8 p.m. Eastern. Those are 45-minute calls. Sometimes they don't go for the full 45 minutes. Sometimes they go way over. But there's always those 3 phone calls available at least every single day, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
If it's a travel day, I try to make 5 other phone call times available if I'm on travel.
Okay.
And on Saturdays, I try to make 5 more available on Saturdays.
Okay.
So I try to make at least 20 phone call slots available for technicians to do coaching calls with me a week.
Okay. So what's your idea? You know, you've been successful getting people to start engaging into our online training platform. We got over 750 courses up there and we keep adding to them. I don't even know the exact count. I just know we passed 750 a while back and we may have done past 775 at this point because we keep putting them up. So how do you get them engaged into taking these courses? Because let's face it, there's very few 10s out there.
One of the best ways is just simply building that relationship, talking to them and finding out what they want to improve at. And when they tell me what they want to be better at, that gives me an idea of what to suggest in the success plan for the employee to follow, to watch, and how we can tie that into what they want to get better at. So that's one of the best ways that we go about getting them tied into the CVC platform.
Got you covered. So anyway, hope I didn't shock you. I'm playing with these buttons out of moving around, so I'm still here with you. It's like I'm still learning this live stream, so I ain't never shifted to one person before. It's like, hey, let me try this. Hope I get back here. So if we get lost after a while, we'll know it. So anyway, so this is how it works. So here's the whole thing. I know a lot of people think that I can send someone to a class across the country or across town or whatever. And the whole thing is, what are they actually taking out of there? Because I'm an instructor, I teach large classes, but I got to gear it towards the whole class. When you're training in a truck, one-on-one, you're only geared to that person. Am I correct?
That's absolutely correct. 100% correct.
Right. So you're not worrying about training 25 people at one time. It's down to one person and what the challenge is for that one person is. Am I correct?
That's exactly right. And that's where that individual customized success plan comes in for that technician, because it's all one-on-one.
That's it. So here's the thing, guys and gals. And a lot of times this is what happens in my coaching business. I will tell a client, someone has got to get in the truck and go out with that guy. Okay. You got to do this. But here's the problem. Most business owners simply don't have the time. And the next thing is, many times the business owner is not that effective a trainer. Bringing someone in, because be honest with you, I feel like I have guided Donovan and trained him in the last 18 months. Okay. Donovan, would you agree with that? With the coaching and the training I put you through or really subjected you to, let's put it that way. Okay. Because it's been delivered pretty hard to you. So, but does that make sense? When you go in, you don't have the business to worry about. You don't have the company. You don't have anything else in that company that's in your forte today except training that guy. Am I right?
That's 100% correct. And I also get to take a different viewpoint of it than the business owner or the technician. I get to take that 30,000 foot view and really see what's going on and not be focused on on personalities or anything like that. I'm just there to observe.
Okay. So here's the whole thing, guys. If you want to put ride along training to work in your company, if you don't have the time to get in the truck and spend this time with your employees, bringing in an outside ride along trainer, it can help you improve their communication styles. It can help you improve their sales skills. It can also help you increase their inspection skills, their reporting skills, their communication with the customer, getting more reviews, how to ask for reviews, how to present the quote on site, how to do the follow-up. You see, what I've just read off to you was probably 7 to 10 of the most frustrating things that you as a business owner deal with. Because as a coach, that's what I hear. You see, this is what we've got to do. I've narrowed this down. I've narrowed success down to 3 things, Donovan, and I've never shared this with you. Number 1 has nothing to do with you except it actually does, which is waste. Waste in a company is lost profit. The second thing is training. Our people have got to move up to a higher level of training of where in order to reach those business dreams. And the third thing is team buy-in. Most companies, the people are not bought in to the vision of that client, to that business manager, to that owner. And these are the things that we work with. Now, I want to throw this in. Donovan, this my new book just came out, Step Up to Success. Guys, the process is right here. This book is now available on Amazon. You can buy it in the paperback version. You can buy it in the Kindle version. This is a workbook. This is not just a book that you read. This is a workbook. So as you go through this, it's going to summarize the chapters for you. It's going to be able to then, you turn this in to set up your process. But I wrote this book based on what we've learned, the data we've accumulated from Donovan, from Cheryl that does interviews, from Brandy and her onboarding and processes, and my own experiences. I've written this book based on the data. This book has been in works for quite a while because Donovan, I think you got your draft probably 4 to 6 months ago, and we're just now to the point of releasing this. So if you want a process to follow for this, guys, that's my new book. It's on Amazon right now. Name of it is Step Up to Success, How to Turn a Novice into a Top Performer. It's going to give you the roadmap. But the other thing is, can you do it? Can you spend this time dedicated to working with your employees, your team members, your techs, your office workers, wherever it is, to take them up to that level. Because I'm going to tell you something. It's hard work. Running a business in 2020 has been exceptionally hard work. And I got bad news for you. 2021 is going to be worse. 2021 is going to be just as much chaos as just because we're going to get past the first of the year, guys, the chaos is still going to be here. The demand will probably shift. And right now, how much are you leaving on the table? I commonly hear clients talk to me and they tell me about the millions of dollars of work that's quoted that's never been closed. And Donovan, what you find out is nobody's doing a follow-up. Nobody. Have you ever had technicians that just flat out told you it ain't my job to follow up?
Yes, I have had a technician tell me that.
Okay.
And by golly, that's hard to work with.
Right.
But you can still turn that guy into being very, very helpful if they follow the process. Hey, we'll take the commission in the office.
These are transformational times, guys and gals. And transformational leadership, transformational culture, you got to work to make it happen. The last few months, work may have just been coming at you. So, do you know, Donovan, there's people that have stopped answering their phones?
Yes. I personally know 3 of them.
Right. Just stop answering my phones. Don't give me no more. And my answer to that is, wait a minute. You got what you wanted. You got what you wanted. So it's inconceivable, but hey, that's what people choose. So Donovan, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, number one, there's no charge to talk to you. To find out, let's explain what ride along training is.
Yep.
So let's tell them how to get in touch with Donovan Blanks if ride along training is something they're interested in.
Donovan, DONOVAN, at CVCSuccessGroup.com.
There you go. So that's going to be the way to do it. It's like Zig Ziglar said, you don't have to be great to start, but you got to start if you're going to be great. So anything you want to add in on the rest of this live stream before we end it out today, brother?
The biggest thing is that we've seen some amazing results this year. It works when you put in the effort. I've just been so impressed by some of the technicians that have taken the ball and run with it and made it their own and put their own fingerprint or thumbprint on it and just done some incredible things this year. So I know it works. I know it because I've seen it and I did it. So I know it.
There you go. So my name's Jerry Eisenhower. That's my friend Donovan Blanks. He's a member of our team here at the CVC Success Group. If we can help you turn your business dreams into those business realities, reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to give you our ideas, share our concepts, and see just perhaps the concepts we got just might be that work for others, might just be the concepts that work for you. So Donovan, anything else before I click this next button?
Merry Christmas.
There you go. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year's. Talk at you later.